So, I wanted to blow the whistle on a previous employer. I'm blowing the whistle on the civil service because I need to get some things off my chest. The civil service is meant to be impartial. The civil service is meant to be there for one purpose, and that is to implement government policy. They're not meant to have a left-leaning or a right-leaning bias. They are meant to just take the orders and deal with it. That is literally their job. Nothing else. No bells, no whistles, just nice. And you know what you should be getting with the civil service because it's the permanent bureaucracy that's meant to keep the company, the country, running. That is what it's intended to do. However, our civil service is clearly biased. They've been in the Guardian newspaper this week, no less, saying how thrilled they are. They've got a Labour government after all these years of Tory, well, I guess they would say misrule. But they betray themselves a little bit more because I can say from a former employee, it's not just the whistleblowers that you hear that are quote unquote anonymous that do this sort of thing. The higher ups in the organisation are exactly the same. And if you're right wing, even if you don't admit it, even if you just talk about slightly conservative values, traditional family, I don't know, settling down one day, having kids, talking in a positive way about the country, just general chit chat, really. It's disdainful. They really don't like it. They really don't like anything like that at all. It's all liberal water cooler talking points, you know, save the migrants, the empire was evil, the army's crap, and they've got pictures of the monarch all over the place, but they are so anti-monarchy. It is unreal. It is absolutely horrible. And they're in charge of their own hours. They work when they want to work. You as a member of staff are in charge of your own timesheets. I've never worked at a company that's privately owned where you're in charge of your own timesheets. Never. It's always somebody else's job to look after your timesheet to keep you honest. No one manages you, no one manages the manager, and no one manages their manager either. So, there's no accountability from anybody. And if you call anyone out on it, even slightly, and say, what's this? You sort of get ostracised. They stop talking. It's very high school, it's very playground. They stop talking to you, they close ranks around each other, and you get shown the door eventually. That's the way it works. Because when I was first there, I actually questioned my manager. I said, why am I in charge of my own timesheet? Why am I doing this? Why aren't you doing it? She said, what do you mean? Like that? I said, well, it's on the spreadsheet. I said, well, why aren't you doing it? She looked at me like I had three heads. I was like, why aren't you doing my timesheet? She didn't even know what program it was that the timesheet was saved in. And she was my manager. And I was like, are you joking me? I didn't actually say that, but that's what I was thinking to myself. And I was like, all right, okay, that's why. Okay, I know why you're not doing the timesheet now, because you don't know how to do it. Like, it's okay. She was on like 50k a year, and she doesn't know how to work a fucking timesheet. I mean, come on. Anyway, you do your own hours, meaning no one accounts for your hours. Meaning you could walk in at 10 o'clock in the morning. You can mark on your timesheet that you start at 7 o'clock in the morning. You could leave at 3. Put on your timesheet that you leave at 6. The computer would prove that because of your login and logout times, but no one cares. No one cares. And the only reasonable assumption you can have from that is nobody cares because they're all doing it as well. And I've never worked at a place or a company where you don't have an allotted lunchtime. You can take an hour. And if you want to take 2 hours, all you need to do is inform your manager you're taking 2 hours and mark it down on your time sheet. I was like, oh my God, this is so relaxed. You would never get this in any privately owned company. And I've worked for military contracts and other contracts that were for the government, but privately owned. And on those contracts, it was a lot stricter. There was more accountability from everybody. everyone knew the jobs and what they were doing and what everyone else was meant to be doing, at least on paper. Now, it still didn't work the way it should be working, but at least there was a structure and a accountability line that you could follow through the company. But with the civil service, it's just not like that. It's always somebody else's problem, and you'll deal with it tomorrow. So, if that's what the permanent secretary is like with their meetings with the government, and when the government is trying to get policy through the civil service, if this is what they're up against, management that can't even work a spreadsheet, then I can perfectly understand why we can't stop boats. I can perfectly understand why it's easier to get rid of a minister and say that they were bullying you when they question the fact that you can't work a fucking spreadsheet. I kind of get that. And if I was the minister and my employees were like, well, we've not implemented your policy because we don't know how to do it, I would get really, really angry, and I would get really, really worked up about it. And if that mean that they thought I was bullying them, I'd be like, well, deal with it. You need to deal with this problem. If you can't, we will get someone who will. That is the point that I wanted to make here. It's a bit of a rant, but I'm on the right track. If you can't do the job, you get shown the door. If you've got a problem with the policy that the government wants to implement, again, the door is there. See you later. Anyway, rant over. The point is the civil service should be impartial. They're not impartial. We all know this. And I think we need to privatise the puppy, because if you privatise the puppy, you might actually get the results that you want. Anyway, if you like this video, give it a like, give it a subscribe, maybe watch one of my other videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, have a good evening.